Okay. So yesterday we discussed about interfaces and abstract classes, right? So abstract class is a class where it starts with a keyword called abstract, and basically when you are making a particular class an abstract, then there can be all concrete methods or all abstract methods, or concrete methods and abstract methods combination can be there. But whenever you make a method abstract, then the class must become a abstract class, right? Then basically when you need to go when there is when you have some implementation handy and when you don't have some implementation handy, so in those cases, like, implement the methods that you well known while implementing that class, but give the define abstract methods for the methods that you don't know the implementation, you just know the specification. We discussed in terms of vehicle, car, and Audi car concept, right? And another interesting feature is abstract class. What you called You can create a reference variable, but you cannot instantiate it, because there is a chance that abstract class may have abstract methods. When we have an abstract methods, as where there is no implementation, and creating an object doesn't make sense, right? Okay, next thing is, when any class is extending an abstract class, we have to override all the abstract methods in the subclass, right? Whenever you extend an abstract class, you have to override all the abstract methods in your subclass, or else make the subclass as abstract. So coming to interface, right? So what is an interface? Interface is kind of a fully abstracted class where you have only specification, you don't have an implementation. Right? Give me 1 second. Sorry, when you when you write an interface, it should be interface and interface name. Just like a class name, you should have a syntax as interface name, and any data type variables you can define. But by default, if you write int a, it means public static final int a. Even if you write int a, by default in interface, it will be treated as public static int a. And then return type method name, then that will become public return type method name. Those methods are by default public, right? So in interface, all the variables are final and static by default. All the methods are public and abstract. Even though if you don't mention abstract next to the method name, then default it will consider as abstract. If you try to write any concrete method inside of interface, it will give an error, because it will say you defined as an interface, so there should be no implementation in this interface class, only should have a specification, right? Okay, we can't write a variable inside interface. Generally, when you have a class, you can write a constructors, right? But when you write an interface, you can't write a constructors or concrete methods inside. And another point is, interfaces cannot be instantiated, but they can be, the reference variables can be created. So if somebody want to take the specification of the interface, then what they're supposed to do? They must implement all the methods that has been there in the inside the interface. How can they get the interface specification into their class using implements keyword instead of extends keyword. Extends is used between the classes. Implement is used between interface and class. Okay. um, yeah, it's simple, right? Again, same definition. When any subclass implements interface, it should override all the sub abstract methods or otherwise make the subclass as abstract. We saw an example as well. So next thing is arrays. So arrays is an interesting concept. Let me take one simple example. See, let's go back to our basic example that we discussed. Bell info batch for session 8 session 9 need a public. Sorry, this is, yeah, should package should be written where? Inside the package section. Array demo 1. Okay. So basically, if you remember, right, in the beginning I told you one class, there is a class called scanner, built-in class, that is called built-in, which means it already comes up with when you download the jar files, and when you download the Java comes with some built-in classes, right? Just like scanner, all the stuff. So if you remember scanner class we wrote, let's write a scan equal to new scanner. So as scanner is a built-in class, we need to import that class, right? When you import java.util. So this is the imported class. When you import inside java.util package, scanner is there. So where is array demo is there? Where is array demo 1 class is there? It is com bell info batch 4 session 9, it is there, right? Just like where is the scanner? It is java.util. Inside util package, scanner is there. So if you remember correctly, yeah, if you remember, right, I explained you guys how to read data from the terminal, right? How to read data from the command prompt. Using the scanner, it will try to read the inputs from the user. So let's say I want to take 10 inputs from the user and display back. Simple. I want to take 10 inputs from the terminal and display back. So for that purpose I am started using scanner. So what we can do, int a scan dot, as I said, next I want to take 4 integers, so I will say next int. Okay, I got int value, right? So and then int b equal to scan dot next int c. Let's take okay. Our requirement is take 4 values from the terminal and display back, right? So what we can do, sys iot a, so we going to display all the 4 values, right? So let's run this guy. So it is waiting for the input. And say 12, 23, 24, 25. It displayed 12, 23, 24, 25. It's back, right? So this is a regular way of, what if somebody says I want to take 100 inputs? What if somebody says I want to take 1000 inputs? How do you handle it? Right? That is the challenge that we have, right? So for that purpose, if you can hold writing 100 times this line is like it's kind of, you know, crap, right? You can, doesn't make sense, like, you know, receiving 100 variables and accepting each and every one and playing around, right? So instead of that, Java comes up with a feature called arrays. Java comes up with a feature called array. What it says, array is a pool, like it can hold values. It can hold all primitive data types. Array can hold all primitive data types. Okay. So how it going to hold? How do we define an array? How do we say a particular variable is an array variable or int variable kind of thing? Then let's write another example to see that how to write an array. Array demo. We need another one. So here, let's say for now we know, so this is default scanner, scan equal to new scanner system.in. This is default, right? So here earlier what we take, each value, one value at a time we are receiving, right? Instead of that, if you can define an array, you know what kind of array it is. I mean, you know what kind of values you're going to receive. You're going to take int values, right? So int a equal to new int, see the brackets what we are using. Okay, we know number of values. See, this is the way of defining an array. What kind of array it is? A is a array of integers of size 4. The highlighted line that you call it as A is an integer, A is an array of type integer, or else A is an integer type array with size 4. What does it mean, size 4? It can hold maximum 4 values. It can hold maximum 4 values. It can start from, now it is with empty values. When you start adding, it keep taking the values up to 4. Okay, so there is another condition in array is, you must, when you are initializing an array, you must provide the size of the array. You must provide the size of the array. So which means when you want to use an array, you should know the size of the array that is going to be. Okay, if you know the fixed length, or if you know that, like, you know, there will be a chances of the max size of an array, then only go for an array by initializing an array of particular data type. Okay, so this is an int array. If you want to write another array, you can write. For now, let's see how the earlier example is going to be converted. Okay. So now what I will do, for I'll loop it. Okay, for int I assigned to 0, I is less than or equal to 3. The reason why I kept 3, because even the size is 4 of the size of the array is 4, because the index starts with the array index starts with 0. So 0, 1, 2, 3. The size is 4, right? You getting my point? Size is 4 in the sense index starts with 0. So maximum index will be 0 to 3. That is the reason we kept int size initialize. We are going to check the size of the array less than or equal to 3. So here what we will do, this is the way to initialize the values inside array. This is the way to create an array. This is the way to initialize an array with the values. Okay. Here I will say scan dot next int. So what's happening here? You are filling up the array. You are filling up the array. So first time when it loops, right? A of 0. A of index 0 will hold first value that user sent. Next value it loops it until less than 3, right? So it loops into and A of 2 takes the second value. A of 3 takes the third value. A of 4 takes the next value, and the size becomes I becomes less than or equal to 3, and next I is 4, so it doesn't satisfy the condition, it comes out. Makes sense. Now your array is filled up with all the values user entered. Now you want to display. What you can do, same thing, int let's say another I, right? Anything you can do. J equal to 0, j is less than or equal to 3, j plus plus. Here what you need to do, SYSOIT A of j. So what it will happen, as by end of this line, the array is going to be filled up with the user inputs that has been entered, and then here you are going to loop that array, filled up array, and trying to extract the values one by one, A of 0, A of 1, A of 2, A of 3, and display them. Okay, let's run this program. So this guy is waiting for the inputs. 23, 32, 23, 42. So this loop has been accepted all the inputs. This loop started printing. If you look at here, you wrote only one system.out.println and you wrote one scan.nextInt, and you started accepting those data, right? That is the advantage of array. Array is a collection of elements. Array is a collection of elements. You can keep. So now you thought like you're going to get an inputs, right, of type int. You can say double, right? Anything. Double of A. Double of size what? Whatever the size you want. Okay. That's how you need to define. Okay. So variable here. Double variable. Okay. DUB. What is DUB? DUB is an array of type double with size 12. Here instead of this one also, you can, what you can do is a dot length. Instead of a dot length also you can use it. Instead of if you do a dot length. Let's see. A dot length is, you will get it as 4, so a dot length minus 1 you need to use. One value, another value, another value. Let me see 1 second. maybe this will be this. This line e dot length has been displayed for. So now I'm entering some values. Why earlier when I mentioned 1 you got an error? Because a dot length value it is what? 4. So if you keep 4, right, the size will become 5. The number of values it is expecting is 5, but what we initialized with 4. So it is trying to access the index which has been not initialized. You are trying to access an index which has been not initialized. You getting my point? So basically what happens, right? Let me see if I can draw quickly. See in this one, right? When we initialized an int a when we initialized a with a array of int with size 4, what will happen is like here a is going to be like a equal to 12230 something, some index number will be there here. This number will be assigned here and it looks for size. What is the size has been defined? 4. So it will allocate 4 blocks next to each other, 4 blocks next to each other. This address will be held by a variable, the a array. Okay, so you entered some value here, you entered some value here, you entered some value here, you entered some value here. When you try to enter another value, as the index has been fixed between this box, so if you try to enter something in this box is outside the index, it will throw an error called array out of index or array out of bound index exception. Okay, so let me show it to you once again. Okay, if I keep 4, right, now we'll get an error. So 1 to 1, it takes third value. Okay, fourth value it takes. When you try to enter, if you try to enter another value, it will give array index out of bound exception. We haven't discussed exceptions. I know about that, but just trying to understand with the name itself, right? Array index out of bound, it reaches out of bound exception 4. So you have only the index is 0 1 2 3, right? You getting my point? So let me show it to you once again. Let's control N. So the index is 0 1 2 3, but what is the size? Size is 4. Index is, what is the index size? So when somebody asks, it's arrays always index starts with 0. Try to understand. Okay, and this value, whatever the address, whatever the memory address that it is, this starting value is going to be, that value is saved in the a variable of type array, and from then whatever the value you try to insert. So we defined an array of integer, right? So what is the default size? Like 4, right? So it will be 4 size, it will be 4 size, it will be 4 size, it will be 4 byte size, and you can insert whatever the maximum int value that what you want to insert here. Okay, if you try to insert anything more than whatever the size that you defined for that array, then you are going to get out of bound exception, array out of bound exception. Okay, so this is what an array. So another way of writing, right? So there are different ways to write. So different way to initialize actually. One is like you just mentioned size of the array, right? So if you this way we wrote because we are taking the inputs from the terminal. So we don't know the values, what values you're going to get, right? So for example, another scenario. Array demo. So then int earlier I said like you can write like this, right? Array1 array new. So if you don't initialize the array, you will get an error. What it will say? Variable must provide either dimension, expression, or an initializer. So we are going to initialize something. So this is called declaration of an array with size. Okay. Another one is int. Another way of initializing, you can write like this also. See, this square brackets can be next to the variable or next to the data type. You can do either ways. Either you can do it like this, you can do it like this. Both at the same way. Okay. So both are declaration of an array with size. How about initialization? How about if you know the values? Let's say int. This is the new variable you need to take, right? Int. Let's say array2 equal to, you know the values, okay? If you know the values, how do you want to do it, right? Int new int 20 comma 39 something. So see, here you haven't as per our definition, we always need to initialize an array, initialize the size of an array, right? We need to provide the size of the array, but we haven't provided here. But what we did, we initialized this array with values 20 and 39, which means the size of an array is 2, because you initialized with those values. So let me show you. If I try to array 2 of 0 1 2, okay, size 2 equal to, what I'm trying to do, let me explain. I think you should get there and then itself error. See, it doesn't give you an error. This part doesn't give you an error. This part doesn't give you an error. This part is giving an error. Why? Because this array2 array of type int has been initialized with 2 values. So the array size is 2. 0 1 2 0 1, that is the index, but you are trying to enter into second index 0 1 2, second index. You are trying to enter the value into the second index, which is not there. Only 2 indexes are there, 0 and 2, 0 and 1. Only 2 indexes has been initialized, 0 and 1. and you're trying to add a value 2. When by end of this line, the size of this array is 2. So index is 0 and 1 has been initialized. But if you try to keep the another new value into the new index, then you will get an error. You getting my point? So this is another way of declaration and initialization of an array. This is declaration and initialization of an array. Okay, make sense? Okay. So let's say earlier, right, we took the inputs from the user. Let's say for this guy, I want to initialize the values here. So how can I do? ARR of index 0 equal to 23. ARR index, let's say 1 equal to 32. ARR of index 3 equal to 23. Okay. So I'm just trying to display. Okay. See this part, take it out. We are talking about this piece, right? So okay, so here, right, we defined an array of type int with size 5, and we started initializing one at a time, right? 0, 1 and 3. We haven't initialized 2, we haven't initialized 4, we haven't initialized 5, but we initialized 0, 1 and 3, right? What if I try to define 4 and 5 as well? Size 4 in the sense you can't reach the index 5. Okay, so if you observe here, we initialized only three variables, right? Like if you have, in this case, let me take the figure diagram again. So in this case, what we did, so an ARR is going to start with 0, 1, 2, 0, sorry. 0 index 1, 2, 3, 4. So this size is 5 and index max is 4. So we initialized a size array of 0 with 23. The 23 value is stored. This is 32 value is stored. 23 value is stored. But when we try to display, we got remaining two values, 2 and 4, we got displayed as 0 and 0, which means what we understand, when we initialize, when we start when we are declaring an array, okay, of type int, the values will be initialized with the default value of data type. What is the default value of int? What is the default value of int data type int? 0, right? That is the reason they got initialized with 0. Make sense? Okay. What else we have in arrays? Unique initialization, declaration with an array of size, another way of declaring initialization of an array. Yeah, another way, sorry, forgot to tell you. So one way I told you, so this part you guys understand, right? So one way to initialize is int. Don't get scared like why we always use double, right? We can use whatever we want, whatever the data type we want. Go to new double. This is one way, right? 1.0, 2.0, 3.0. This is the way to initialize the double. Okay. Another way to initialize the double is double dub1 equal to new double. You don't need to. You don't need beneath this. Just write double 22.0, 3.0, 4.5. So you can do, so what is the size here? 3. What is the size here? 3. Either you can write like this, either you can write like initialize like this. You don't need to write this repeatedly. Okay, even if you don't write it, you can initialize like this way as well. There are different ways of initializing in that, arrays. Yep, I guess we are good with arrays. Did I miss anything? Yeah, we can hold data types along with that. Okay, so as of now for arrays we saw what we called if you observe we calling any these things as an array. We are not using the keyword array, right? Don't get confused. So this is the way of representing an array. The highlighted part is the way of representing an array with the what brackets is these are? Square brackets, yeah. So let's do another example to much more better understanding of another. So let's say array demo 4. Here, right? So I'm going to write a class called another class this is the demo class, right? So actual class I'm going to write, okay, class called movies. Okay, inside movies, like let's say I'll take couple of values, private string name, private string private category, let's say category is private double amount. So for 3 different variables, a movie carries these characteristics, okay, name of the movie and what category whether it is like U/A or whether it's a children's, whether it's R rated, whatever it is, right? So and the amount that it cost, okay. As these are private variables, there is another concept I'm talking about here. I mean that we discussed the concept, but I'm just showing you how the implementation is. Encapsulation, you remember? How can we achieve encapsulation in Java? Encapsulation can be achieved by private variables and public methods. Private variables and public methods. So how can we, as these variables are private, so the scope will be within this class. You can't modify, you cannot assign any value. So somehow you need to get an access. So that access will be through public methods. So simple way for now, just understand, like, go to go to source, and then right click source, generate getters and setters. Generate setters and getters. Select all the three variables that has been there. See what will happen. Okay. So this part has been automatically generated by IDE. The setters and getters has been generated by IDE. Basically what it means is, if somebody want to add a new value to the name, right, they need to access set name and pass the name. So that name value will be assigned to this dot name. This dot name belongs to these variables. Whenever you use this keyword, that belongs to the particular specific class. Okay, so this value is assigning to this name. Okay, so and then category, this category is assigning to whatever the value that you carry here, to assigning it to the private variable category. Okay, same thing, amount, double amount is assigning it to amount of this specific class. Okay, so this house, if you look at private variables and public setters and getters. Okay, when do you use this? So if there is a confusion, so the user passing value is name, same name, and the movie is also with the same name, right? The variable is same, category, so same. So in order to avoid the confusion, for the local ones you need to represent with this dot name. Other way of avoiding is, you can send, like, name one, whatever the value, right? Nothing stops, name one, amount one. So amount one will be assigned, category one assigned, name one will be assigned. So no confusion now. So user passing is name one variable and assigning is name. Clear? So this is what called encapsulation. This is how you can achieve encapsulation. Okay, so now we got a class called movies with name, category, and now you want to hold 5 to 6 movies, or else, like, you want to hold you don't know, I mean, you want to give user to that option also. User can define the size of the movies as well, number of movies also. So what we can do, simple way, first thing what we need to, scan equal to new scanner system.in, and now let me say system.out.println. I will say enter I'll say Netflix. Okay, something Netflix size. Okay, so whatever the int size, I'll call it as variable size. Whatever the user enters, right, scan dot next int, first next int, I'll consider this one as, I consider this one as size of the Netflix, number of movies inside the Netflix. Okay, now I'll use that for int I assigned to 0, I is less than size -1, and So I got to know the size of the Netflix size, right? So what I will say, movies Netflix. We're just calling it movies list as Netflix, okay? Of size array equal to new movies. What is the size of the movies? Whatever the user entered, right? Size. I will initialize movies section, movies class with size, and then size -1, I plus plus. I'll accept as many data as you want, as you can send. So now here, try to understand. So now you got this. Netflix is just a variable that I called it as. You can call it as an Amazon, whatever. It's what is it is. Netflix is an array. Netflix is an array of type movies. Of type movies. Earlier we have an int a as a of type int. Same thing. Netflix is an array of type movies, right? So what user is going to enter? So each time, like, movies m1 equal to new movies. So I created an object, simple object. So I'll ask sys out enter name of the movie. Okay, what it will happen when you say enter the name of the movie, then what I will do, m1 dot, how do I assign name to the movie? Set name one is something user provided. User is going to enter, right? So how can I get from the user? Scan dot next scan dot next. So it will take next int, it takes as an integer, next takes as a string. Okay, and then I again say system.out.println enter category. Enter category. Then I'll say m1 dot set category scan dot. Category is a character. I take character, single word, right? Next char is not there. We can say next char is carrot. Set category is scan dot next dot is an option called carrot index 0. I'll explain later. You can just focus now. So next one is what is that? Enter cost of the movie. m1 dot set amount scan dot next double. See, if you observe now, what exactly happened? Program starts from here, and you will ask like enter Netflix size. So when you enter 5, user enters 5, then you receive that value here, and you assign that value to the size variable of type int. So size is 5, and you are passing that size to new movies. So Netflix is an array of type movies. An array of type movies. Movies is having three private variables: name, category, amount. So how do you, now you got the size, so you want to loop it using loop. Now you're going to define new movies. First you created a new movies first time, and then you set the values, set name, set 1, set 2, and then what you will do, you want to, now m1 movies, m1 has been initialized, m1 has been initialized with all the values. So now you need to take that value into, keep it into Netflix array. Netflix of I equal to m1. Make sense? Did you guys understand a little bit? I'll go through, don't worry. Next thing is I want to display whatever I enter, right? Whatever I user received. So I will say Netflix, I'll call it as data center, and then I'll say SIS IoT name. I'm just using /t is tab. Okay, tab in the sense whenever you use tab, right, in your keyboard, what will happen? Your cursor will move a tab size, right? So same thing, /t is tab. Then category category /tab amount. Okay, this is just to display. Then what we'll do, movies, movie, something movie equal to movie for, again I need to take out from movie, right? I need to take out, sorry, movies, right? It is movies. I need to take out from movies. For int as into 0, I is less than or equal to size -1, I plus plus. Now as of now I'm just filling my Netflix. I'm just filling my Netflix array with the movies. Now I'm extracting from Netflix array. I'm extracting the movies that has been there. So movie equal to Netflix of I. If I say like first movie will be assigned to first route. First movie, like a loop will be happen, right, until whatever the size you entered. So once you get the movie, you can display SYS OUT. What you can do, movie dot. Here you are all setting. You are all setting the values into the movie. Here what you trying to do? Getting movie dot get name /tab, like, so that it will display the fashion that we want. Movie dot get category. Try to understand movie dot get amount. That's it. So let's see. I mean, I'll go through the program again. Don't worry. So movie dot. So let me run this guy. So you enter Netflix size. I'm just saying size is 2. Okay. So enter name of the movie. What are the latest ones? Kylie 150. enter category, you enter cost of the movie 20. I got null point accession. Line number 26. Oh, okay. This is the problem. I is less than or equal to. So let me run again. 2 inquiry view GPS can view. See, if you look at Netflix data center, Netflix name of the movie, category of the movie, and size of the movie. I mean cost of the movie, right? So what exactly happened here, right? Basically, what we're trying to do earlier, we just take in date. Here another way I explain. This is the best way to quickly make you guys comfortable. I shouldn't take this much time for strings and arrays, but it's okay. As we are learning, let's learn. So when you say here like this, right, int a equal to new int of 2. So we know int data type, and we know the size, right? We know the size, and what will happen, it will, when you write like this, a is going to hold the value of 0 1. Initial default value is 0, default value is 0, and the address, right, the address is 1 2 3 4 7 8 9. This address will be assigned to 1 2 3 4 7 8 9, will be assigned to variable called a of type an array of type int. But what if this case, right, in our case what we did, we defined a movie. Netflix is an array of movies, right? So what does it mean? Let's say a movie M1 we created, right? M1 is what? An object with name of the movie and cost of the movie and category of the movie. So this M1 variable also going to hold the address of this object, right? This object is like 3 4 5 6, something like that. M1, if when you try to put M1 here in this Netflix array, this is the Netflix array, right? So when you try to put the M1 into here, this will, what it is going to have, 3 4 5 6 address, and another movie 4 6 7 9, another movie 9 2 3 4. So these kind of objects has been created, movie objects across, right? So those kind of addresses has been assigned here. So when you try to access this guy, you're trying to access M1. When you try to access M1, you're trying to access the values inside the object that has been created. Making sense? So that's how you store the values one after the other. That is what we did. So Netflix, so what we did, first we created M1 object, and then we set the values, whatever the values that it's supposed to. You go and look at it. Like if you don't understand this line, just let me know. Okay. And because honestly we don't have time to cover each and every piece across, so if anytime if you come across any doubts, just drop an email or message me. So in the next class I'll definitely discuss on that, whatever the topic that you guys don't understand. So m1 dot set amount scan dot next double. So these values once m1 got initialized with whatever the name, category and amount, that m1 is assigned to the variable Netflix array, whatever the index that it is having. Again the for loop starts and new m1 object will be created. You getting my point? So what exactly happened is, again I'll go further, try to see. We know this is a Netflix, right? This is a Netflix array, right? So what we did, we initialized with size whatever the user entered, 3. Let's assume 3. Okay, 0, 1, 2 index, size 3. Okay, here we started the loop. So we created what? Movie object. So movie object has been created here. What is that? M1 reference variable. M1 reference variable is assigned M1. Let's say this address is 1234. Okay, address. So this address has been stored here, 1234. So inside this object we started setting the value, name of the movie. So variables are there, name, category, cost. 3 variables inside the object. That object is held by M1 reference variable. So you assign name Kaidi, category U, cost $20. Now what you did, once you filled the values, what you try to do, you are assigning that M1 into in Netflix of 0, first one, right? So this one, so you are assigning, you are taking this value and keeping here 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, next time what you trying to do, loop continues. So again M1 equal to new movies. What will happen this time? Another object is created. That address is 4679. Okay, so this value will be overridden with 4679 here. So this disconnected, this one is connected. Okay, 4679 value is there. Another value you entered GPSK, all the values here, and then again the loop continues, and next value M1 is going to be assigned again, next Netflix of 1. So 4679. So even though it disconnected here, when you try to access this address, you are indirectly accessing this object. So that's what we're trying to do. You created a new movie and Netflix of 1. What it is Netflix of 1? So there is, you created this line, movie equal to new movie again here outside, right? So there is a reference variable called movie. And what you are assigning, whatever the value it is there in the Netflix of index 0. So this value, what is this value? Indirectly it is assigning this value, this object. So when you try to access movie.name, movie.get category, movie.cost, you are getting the first movie. Loop continues again. Same value will be assigned here. This value will be given here. This value is referring here. This value is assigning to here. Making sense? Okay. I thought of continuing a lot. I think I hope I went deep enough for arrays. Yeah, nothing wrong. Like, we haven't lost anything, because this will help us in collections topic. This will help us to understand in collections topic as well. So for today I'm going to stop the class, but for tomorrow, right, I'm going to, I think I have another assignment with me, so I'm going to send that assignment. Along with that, let's try to write some other array categories, something in the same lines. Try to write for destinations, like destination name, destination cost, destination geographics and weather condition, um, hotels around, and inside hotels you can write like a 3-star hotel, 4-star hotel, another category, another class, hotel class with what kind of hotel it is, what kind of cost it is, and take this hotel object and keep it in the destination. Destination will have hotel name and the city's name and cost for the destination, travel, and something like that. Imagine in your own way. Create, like I said right in the beginning, everything is an object. So imagine in that fashion. Try and create as many destinations as you want. Allow user to enter as many destinations as you want. So each time when you enter a destination, you need to enter the different type of hotels. So each destination may have 3 to 4 different hotels, right? And there are 4 to 5 destinations. So try to do these combinations and try to execute a program. See if you can succeed in these lines, but start focusing, start working on those. Okay. Yeah. Thank you guys for today. Tomorrow, same time. Okay. Thank you.